Okay, welcome to Conscious Living Parents, where we talk everything parenting, partnering, personing, and in between.
You're so good at that intro.
Yeah, I know.
I did it.
Yeah, well, you'd be good at it, but you haven't even tried it.
I did it with Anthony Ike when you were away having your baby, and I was like, I nailed that. I should do this now.
Yeah, you probably could.
Welcome back to another episode. It's just Levi and myself today, where we are doing kind of like a reflection week of the previous episode, which was with beautiful Melissa, all on hypnobirthing. But first of all, what's happened for you in the last 2 weeks? You want to announce your news?
Well, it's pretty topical. We've had our second child, so little Dusty Jude is her name. And yeah, a little baby girl. So hypnobirthing was very topical, and I've got lots of takeaways this week. So yeah, it was magical. And we managed to, the way that we wanted to have it at home in a bath, like no assistance, it all just went sort of to plan, and it was magical. And even the one part where we had her in the house is the one part of the house I never go. And now it's just sort of every time I walk past, I can sort of look in that corner and it's just magical. It's so beautiful. So
that's awesome. So today we kind of want to go over what we learned from Melissa. I mean, I obviously have Melissa as my hypnobirthing coach, so I've learned a lot from her, but particularly from the episode, and kind of storytell and tell we've both got 2 kids now, and difference between baby 1 and baby 2, and our experience through labor and birth and our mindset. Then also some 3 tips at the end to do with partnering, personing, and parenting.
Yeah, coming from transitioning from one child to 2.
So stay with us, quite a bit of content, but it'll be in a nutshell. So I'll go first. Okay. When I was pregnant with Taj, I was very naive. I was like, I'm just going to give birth, trust my body's going to do what it's doing. I don't need to do any research. I don't want to get attached to anything. If I have a birth plan and then it doesn't go to plan, I'll be disappointed. So I'll just go in and just follow what the doctors say and just go with it. I think a little bit of being naive, a little bit of laziness of not wanting to learn. And I've got this old story that I'm very aware of, that I'm scared to learn something in case I don't understand it. It reconfirms that I'm dumb because that's my old limiting belief.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Yeah. So I didn't even bother because I'm like, what if I don't understand it? I'll just say I'm going with the flow.
Yeah. Good strategy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But it was quite a traumatic experience, to be honest. And I feel like I keep saying on my social media too, Steve and I back then to who we are now are just such different people. And I just look back, I'm like, we weren't even really connected back then, I don't feel. The depth of connection we have now, I reflect back, I'm like, it just wasn't a beautiful process and experience for us compared to what it was with Tala. It's like so different. So yeah, we went in, it was a 16-hour labor, and I got an epidural, I think after like 9 hours of just screaming and being really, really upset and in pain. Got the epidural. Steve had a sleep. I just rested and then pushed for 2 hours, had secondary tearing, just had no information about what I wanted to do, what decisions I could or did get to make. I'm pretty sure he would have cut the cord straight away, like no information on delayed cord cutting, nothing. So just went in quite blind and did not have a great experience. And I think that really affected my postpartum journey as well because my nervous system would have been so unregulated. So this time around, I really wanted a different experience. And my girlfriend Megan had hired Melissa from Hypnobirthing Australia, who you guys have hopefully listened to that episode. If not, go back, listen to it. Pause this now and go and listen to it. And she was like, you have to hire her. She's amazing. I was still a little bit like hesitant. Yeah. You'd done it. Everyone around me done it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Do you remember what the hesitance was?
There was one particular hypnobirth coach that kept wanting me to do it with her, and I felt the pressure to post for her. I felt like she was looking, and I think I just got a bad taste in my mouth from that to start with. But I still think that story of like, what if I don't understand it? Or what if I can't do this? Yeah. I thought hypnobirthing was calm, no drugs, silent. Yep. I'm like, I don't believe that I can do that. So I just had all these limiting beliefs and fear. But Megan was like, trust me, you'll love her. From the moment Melissa walked into my house, I was just like, oh my gosh, I love this woman. Yeah. She's so beautiful and so passionate. And I was just so open with my fears, my experience. Like, this is what I'm so scared of. This is what I told her everything. And she was like, big smile on her face, like, yes, challenge accepted. Yeah. And yeah, we had 4 sessions with her, actually 5. And yeah, it changed everything. I actually went into labor so freaking excited, like no fears. Of course I knew it is uncomfortable. You're pushing a baby out of your body. It's a lot, but I wasn't scared of it, which was so cool. And I just felt like I had so many tools and techniques. And even through that course, it got Steve and I really connected as well. It does. That I just felt so supported and held by Steve that whole process, that it was actually enjoyable. Like I really enjoyed it up until the pushing point where I was in a lot of pain. And that's when I did opt for some gas, which was amazing. But yeah, I think without that course, I probably would have gone straight into my nervous system. I feel like would have just gone back to the flashback of a Taj.
Yeah.
Because when I went to the hospital for a checkup, they take you for a tour around. It's the same hospital I went with Taj. The first time I went for that tour, about 14 weeks, I broke down in tears in the car. All that fear came up. I was like, oh my gosh, hypnobirthing's not working.
Yeah.
They can't do this. I'm so scared. And I rang Melissa and she's like, I'm really glad you've had this experience because now we've got something to work with.
Yeah.
And then each time I went, it got better and better. And I just utilized all the tools and like the meditations or the hypnotherapy they use. And yeah, it was an awesome experience. I just can't recommend it enough to anyone.
Yeah.
And hypnobirthing, like we said in the episode, what I learned too, doesn't look a certain way. It's so different for everyone. I remember Melissa saying, if you need to moo your baby out, if you need to scream, if you need to cry, whatever you need to do, that's right for you. But just be informed of your choices, listen to your body, and know there is lots of options and, you know, go with it. So, yeah, it was awesome.
So good. Yeah. Well, mine's very similar. Hypnobirthing, I think where I'm going from the takeaway is using it the first time, it was really well aligned, obviously. Like, okay, it's natural.
You did hypnobirthing.
Yeah, for Neve, from our first baby. Yeah. And it was like, okay, using the breath to calm the nervous system. Like before Neve, my main things were, how do I help keep Clara calm, right? And how do I, more so, because I do it with clients, but how do I get permission to keep her calm?
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, I guess with partners, us males in the partnership or the, you know, we're like, yes, we can be the person that revs you up the most and gets you frustrated, but we are the rock or the person
100%.
that you're used to looking to when you're in the most pain or whatever, and we calm you down. So hypnobirthing uses that. So I was just like, this is the system, right? Like even before we found our doctor, like I went around and found the best integrative therapist, interviewed a couple, and the one that aligned with what I wanted to tell, you know, like wanted to use, I was like, but I can't tell you that. You need to hear it from an integrative therapist. So it was really well aligned with what I thought was right for us. But with baby one, like I followed it to a T. I was like anxious and just like, okay, I've got to make, you know, I've like almost like Clara can't do this without, like she needs my help, and I've got to be like really on it. And so I remember the whole thing, it was like between each surge, I'll be like, okay, calm your breath, you know, like really
tick, 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 all the things
like
I learned.
just doing it really and trying to be the rock for her. But in my head, I'm like, fuck, like this, we can't keep going. Like this poor girl can't keep going. This is too long. We need to get this baby out. So I was projecting calmness, following the system, and having that, I was allowed to do that because hypnobirthing, we'd done all the practice and that was my role. So I felt like it kept me in the present moment as much as possible, because I would have been even more nervous if I wasn't, because I had a role to do, which I think is important. And it was a beautiful experience. Like we're in the birthing center. We supported each other, but I just remember not having much space to observe the process, sort of really connect with her needs. I was just like, okay, between the surges, I reconnect her breath, I hold her, I like, you know, and massage, and just, it was just like it felt like, you know, at your wedding, it goes over in like 3 seconds. For the male, I know the female's like, this would never, but for me, it was just like, oh my God, it was so stressful. But while I'm being stressed, I'm trying to be calm. And I feel like hypnobirthing gave us the tools to have a super calm birth and for Clara to be calm through the birthing process. The difference for me between baby one and baby two was ginormous. And I think for Clara was too, because one, I've seen her do it.
Yeah.
Two, she had the confidence in between to go, you know what? I would like to have it at home. Like that wasn't any of my decision. That was like, she goes, I really want that.
You were like, yes.
Yes, but also just, I know you've got this. So it was just, instead of looking at like, God, she needs help. Like we need to get this baby out. The whole time I'm just like watching her, looking at her signs and symptoms of her body, etc., and just going, fuck, she's like, this is just, and what we focused on.
What you're meant to do.
Yeah, so what we were doing in between, I was watching her body. We were still doing slow breathing and using like, I guess I was humming on the back of her neck. So like an old Japanese thing, but like, you know, like vagus nerves, slowing our breath. It's like slow your breath, touch, connection, and humming or sound and music. So we had beautiful music on.
Yeah.
We were slowing our breath. I was just gently, and a couple of times it started to get more intense, and she started to panic with her breath, and me reinforcing to slow her breath, and even with humming wasn't enough. And she was like, and so what we did then was I got her to, so we'd breathe in and then we go, and really loud. But what is a loud hum exhale is a slow exhale of your breath, right? So it was doing that, and that got her back in.
With sound
and
vibration.
Yeah, so for the last 3 hours or so, like she was like, every exhale was,
Yes. God, I
and
did
you
a
could
lot of
just
that
see
too.
her body soften. And that's what, in baby one, I couldn't observe any of that, but I was so confident in baby two. I could watch, and I was just so calm during the process because I could see her body softening. We could notice, yes, there's the contraction contracts, right? But in between the surge, that contraction, just like, when you're stretching a muscle actively, in the relaxation, the body is opening, and that contraction is gently opening the hips, getting her ready. And so she was focusing on not just in the relaxation part of, okay, get ready for the next surge.
Yeah.
It was more, okay, start to notice the extra softness in your body and the
beautiful.
openness. And so she was just calm throughout, rather than like, the next surge is coming, get ready to breathe.
Yeah.
There was none of that because we were too busy observing just
wow.
the space.
God, you guys nailed it. That's so
cool.
cool.
It was, and I don't know, it just felt even more like connected. Like there's such a, when you've got yourself,
it gets released, hey?
You've got each other so much.
Yeah.
Like instead of like, I hope, like, we got to get this out, it was like, she's got this, she's just killing it. And she's so like, cool. He's there the whole time.
Yeah.
It was really magical.
It's the most connect. I remember Melissa saying it can be so transformative for your relationship and so connecting. I remember thinking, how through such a stressful time, because my experience with Taj was not that, but it is. Yeah. It's like so connecting. I feel like you fall in love with your partner all over again, and that feeling like doesn't go. Well, it hasn't gone for me yet. No, I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, well, that because it's not just a feeling of connection. I feel like it is. When you go through something hard as business partners or as friends, and you both step up.
Yeah.
It's not just a connection; it's a respect. It's like oh my God, you just smash that. And I can never.
Or for me as Steve, I was like, wow, you really stepped up and held that for me.
And you can never forget that.
No,
right?
it's so true.
I think in a downtime where you haven't been putting in the time or whatever, you're like, oh no, but I remember,
so
like with a best friend, I was talking to this about someone on the weekend, but if someone you haven't seen hasn't supported you over and like, there's not a history of them showing you how much they step up for you and love you. If they call you on something, you're like, how dare you? Like, are you attacking me? But if someone has been there and you know that you are in their best interest, and they call you and you say, hey, listen, like, you're being a bit of a prick here. Like, it hurts, but you're like,
you take it. Yeah. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah. But if they hadn't shown that, them. It's probably like a bit more fuck you.
That's true.
So I think this just helps with that mutual respect, connection. When things get tougher in certain times, which they always do, life goes up and down. I feel like this just adds a little extra respect.
It does. It does. And if that's not enough reason why to go and do hypnobirthing, then
And I guess the other thing I wanted to bring up with you were saying, like, it's different. It doesn't have to be like we're a completely natural, no intervention. People like it can be anything.
Even cesareans can still practice hypnobirthing.
I think a really good analogy is to look at it like nutrition, right?
Yeah.
You want to, like, I think everybody should learn nutrition. I mean, hypnobirthing nutrition. It's like, well, I don't want to learn it. I don't want to count calories. It's if you know what a calorie is and you understand what it is. I don't have a calorie count. We never calorie. We don't teach it, but we don't go never learn it because the more you knowledge you've got it.
Yeah.
And same with hypnobirthing. You may just, if all you do is that the hypnobirthing course gave the husband permission to help you through that and to be your breather or to be your calmness or to give him even the permission, even if it simply was enough for the husband to be massaging constantly and give him a role to keep him calm and keep him in the moment. It was worth it. Nutrition, it's worth it. Learning, like, which fats are healthy. Even
100%.
nutrition's worth it. If you learn a little bit about fiber that you didn't know, you may never eat fiber again, but you know, next time I'm regular,
Yeah.
I can add these foods or whatever. You don't have to use all hypnobirthing.
And even the man, like your partner, your partner,
Yeah.
understanding the process of what happens to the woman's body. Like Steve didn't know any of that beforehand. Like, and now he was understanding exactly what happens when. So he was a lot more calmer and could support more because he wasn't like, oh, what's happening? And just, listening to the doctors, he was like, okay, this is this part. I know what's happening now. I know what's going to happen next. And he was a lot calmer through it. So even just the knowledge about understanding about a woman's body and what happens is so important. Not something any of us really get taught at school.
Not much. And I really, like, when do we get the most nervous and anxious in life, right? It's when we're trying to control something where we don't have any control over. And as a male, like, think about the birthing process. It's like, I can't do anything here. So if they don't have a job, their head's just going forward.
Yeah.
I hope it's okay. Is it going to be injured? Like, a male turns into a real anxious nightmare.
They want to fix and rescue and save.
Yeah, but they got no assistance. Hypnobirthing says, hey,
here's how you can help.
Yeah, you're going to touch, you're going to connect with breath, you're going to slow, you're going to be the support. And they're like, I can do this. Like me, first birth, it's like, I've got this. Like, that's all I'm going to do. It's so powerful. So I guess that's why I think everybody should do it. Just like everybody should learn nutrition and everybody should try different exercises.
Knowledge is power. And it's not a one size fits all, but the more knowledge you have, the better.
You don't have to follow it all. But it's so, I'd recommend looking into it.
And like I said, even if you were having a planned cesarean or anything like that, like Nadine, she had to have a cesarean. But she took so many tools and techniques to help her through that. And she said, if I didn't learn all of that, I reckon I would have been a panicked mess. Yeah. But she wasn't. So, very cool.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get to the next part. So now I guess we've both, Ash is, what did you say, 4 months? Tyler is now?
4.5 months Yeah.
So, but we're both recently moved from 1 to 2 children. And
transition.
Coming up to that point, you're always like, I wonder how this is going to change.
Yeah.
Like, I hope it doesn't take away this from my life, or where's it going to throw a spanner in the works? So what's something you noticed from a parenting side of things that has become easier, different from 1 to 2?
Just the lessons we learn from 1 to 2 is like, I know I always say it, but communication, communication and appreciation. I felt like I had a lot of expectations on Steve round 1, and this time of like switch that. Tony Robbins taught me that, swap appreciation for expectations, and your life will be very happy. It's so true though. We are definitely so much more appreciative of each other and more understanding of each other's needs and communicating what each of us needs to feel good. And when we do that, our cups are so full that it's overflowing to each other and to our kids, and we're just happier and more balanced all round. But without that communication, like even at the starts, going from, your old routine to finding a new routine can be really overwhelming. And I was like, how am I going to do this? He's like, well, what do you need? How do we make this work?
Such a good question.
You need to tell me what you need. What is it? And I was like, okay, well, I want to do a PT a week. I want to do 2 home workouts. I want to go to my acupuncture, and I've got to go to work. I want to do this. He's like, cool, let's structure it. Let's fit it in. And he's really flexible with his work now, so he can fit in around it all. But it was just like, let's just chat about it. It was so cool. It's no like mind reading, or they should know that I want this, or he should know I should do this. It's like all just communicate, like almost over communicate. And lots of appreciation. Every little thing that they do. Like even Steve, just like he's cooked dinner every single night since I was pregnant, and he's continued to do that. But that's just the biggest help for me. I love cooking, but when I'm looking after 2 kids or breastfeeding and I just know that one thing's covered, it just takes so much stress off me. And I praise the shit out of him for it, because it makes such a difference in my life. And he's like, I'm like a dog. You pat me on the head. I'm like, oh, I want to do more. So now I'm like, oh, I love how you cook dinner. It makes such a difference. He's like, oh, okay. It's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. Communication and appreciation.
Yeah. Cool.
And the partner.
For me, I think my biggest noticing, or what's been 2.5 weeks, was after the first, like the birth, the first 8 days were just incredible. Like this love bubble, and like Dusty is so calm. She, even this time, Clara knew not to just go straight on the nipple. So we had like these nipple pad things that softened it. Now, so like her nipples haven't got torn up. So she's feeding nicely. She's
enjoying
rolling over.
More.
Yeah. And I think I was just like, this is just too easy. And I think I must have said it out loud in my head. And then my 4-year-old Neve got sick on the Monday. So it was like 8 days after. And then the difference was straight away. It's like, okay, when she's sick normally, like, you know, you can sort of segment the house a little bit and it'll be, and then I got sick the next day off her because she was screaming, and so I slept with her, and then we both got sick, and then we got this quarantine situation going on, and we're trying to like not get around the bub, but then everyone's feeling like not as connected.
Yeah. And
so
you're wanting to help the newborn too and help
yeah,
Clara.
but like I don't want to touch. So then Clara had to step up and take all the time with Dusty. I was sick, and I noticed when I was sick, I'm a grumpy sick person. I don't want sympathy. I just want space.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have any space. So I was noticing, instead of being a fun dad, like I was noticing towards the end of last week, I was short and a bit sharp.
A bit snappy.
And yeah, everything had to like hurry up. Let's get this happening. Like, let's get dressed. Normally it's like we'll make a game out of getting dressed.
Yeah.
Or like come on, just a little bit more terse and sharp in the words. And I don't like that about, like, I don't want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so my takeaway was it can be smooth and it can be, you know, integrated, but when you've got sickness, like it's a lot harder. It is a lot harder. There's less space. And for someone who likes space and needs space, I was like, okay, it's just another opportunity to step up. And again, I felt like a week after that, it's like, wow, you did so good. You had very little help with Dusty last week. So I've got even more mutual respect for Clara. So there's benefits, but it's a lot harder. And I guess I was always wondering if it's harder or is it not? Some parents are like, it's the worst. Some are like, you won't notice the difference. It really.
I think it's so much easier transitioning from 1 to 2 than 0 to 1.
Is it?
0 to 1 was a shock to my system. And I slept so well when I was pregnant with Taj. I didn't sleep well with Tala. So I slept better when she came along as a newborn. But I also think that getting sick, because we all got sick in week 2 of having Tala. Me, Steve, and Taj, not Tala, thank goodness. But I'm the opposite to you. I want closeness when I'm sick. Like I like when Steve takes care of me and cuddles me and touches me. And we were all sick laying in bed together. So it was like really bonding. Even though we were all sick, we all just like laid in bed and watched movies and cuddled. And Steve had lots of skin to skin with Tala. And I don't know, it was hard, of course, but it was nice as well. But because we went through that hard time, I felt like afterwards it's been like a breeze. It's like you really don't take your health for granted after being sick. Like
it does.
You feel
it
so
really
good.
Makes you so appreciative. Just
when I wake up feeling good now, I'm just like, I feel like $1 million.
And you try and do everything that you can. That probably moves on to then. Well, let's skip relate or partnering, but let's go to personing. So biggest 1 to 2 for personing, and I'll go with mine there because it follows on here.
Okay.
I really noticed with the sickness and everything, and just going, okay, for me to be the best dad and best person I need to up level myself a little bit more. So where am I not optimizing productivity, health, etc.? Because it's just going to be a little bit harder, and if I want to have the same amount of health and the same amount of happiness, and I need to find pockets of time where I'm wasting time or where my energy's lower. So some of the things I've done frequent, like since already, is like, okay, so 0 alcohol at all. Like I would have like some wine on a Friday night, but it makes you a little bit more sluggish, a little bit more tired. And I'm like, I can't afford that. I need to be, I don't want to dip in any area. So that's out. It's like coffee shops. It's like, okay, that's out. So I'm just like, I don't need it. That's just like I need to treat myself. Like most times only have a decaf, or I might have a bit of food. No, I'm like, so breakfast is at home. So it's like, okay, saving time, more connection with family. And I bought these little phone jails. Like it's just a little like plastic jail with a lock on it. And so when I come upstairs, it's like the phone goes in, lock. Yeah. And Neve knows it. She's excited about locking it.
So cool.
But it's just like, okay, so that is now, because, you know, sometimes family you can be in the family connecting and you're like, you catch yourself. You're like, what's that in my hand for?
Yeah.
And so I've got one for downstairs in my office.
Yeah.
Because like that's
why it's so hard to get a hold of these days.
Well, I've already got systems, right? Like, you know me, I'm the systems like master, but I feel like the one thing that, even more importantly than your nutrition, your exercise, the one system or the one process that we need to be constantly improving and working on all the time is our attention. Because no matter where you are, there can be a new gadget, or you've got to be like, oh, you've got over I'm watching a bit too much Netflix. You put something in place, and then everyone's like, watch this series, watch this series. And you're like, oh, I love it. It was so good. And then your brain's like, let's look for others. And then you watch 6 average series after together when you could have been doing something more productive. Like your attention can so easily be hijacked that I feel it's a constant thing to be working on always. Because that's how they get us. Like advertising gets us. Like the whole goal is, how can I grab your attention?
Get you addicted.
And if you're not on it, you can just easily fall back in, even with different systems. And you go like 2 months later, you're like, oh, that motherfucker. So
I love that phone jail. That's cool. Mine was, because in that first bit, I love freedom and I love having my own space. I just how I recharge my batteries and fill my own cup up. And in that first bit, when I was like holding on to my old life, my old routine, where like, going walking. I wasn't walking in the mornings. I wasn't going to dance class. I wasn't training because I was really trying to rest and recover in that first trimester, which I highly recommend as well. It's another whole podcast in itself.
Actually, we should do one on that.
Yeah, fourth trimester. Once it got to a certain point, I think it was like, 8 or 10 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm feeling a bit frustrated. I'm missing out on all the things that makes up Ashy and my Ashy hat, because I've got mum hat, I've got work hat, I've got all these hats I wear, which I love and honor all of them. But I didn't feel like I was wearing my Ashy hat and doing things just for me. So once again, it was that conversation with Steve that he helped me with, is like, what makes you feel good? And like first up was like a dance class. I was like, okay, well, I'm so tired at night times. The dance classes are always at night time, which is really frustrating because I'm such a nana. And if I have to get up during the night, I need to make sure I'm getting as much sleep as I can.
So important.
So important. Like me and Steve still most nights go to bed at 7:38. Because if she's up at 2, like you want to get that big block. But the earliest dance class was 6:30 on a Tuesday night. So I asked a couple of girlfriends and we all go together on a Tuesday night. And one's a new mama as well. She had a little boy 2 weeks after me. So it's nice for us both to take our mum hats off. And it also taps back into that sensual sexual energy, which I think being pregnant and giving birth, like it's so focused on the baby that you do lose a little bit of that. So to get back into that energy felt really good and really connecting for me and Steve again. So that was really nice. And then just,
How long after birth did you start that?
Dance class or having sex?
No. Dance class.
Dance class. I got a 6-week check from my physio at 6 weeks and I started moving again, dancing. I think it was 8 or 9 weeks. Yeah, but I had all the clearance, no ab separation. My pelvic floor was feeling really good. Awesome. Otherwise, it obviously could have been longer. But I had a really great recovery, which was good. And then it was just, that makes me feel really good. But where else can I find pockets of time to fill that cup up? And not just once a week. Dance class is great, but I need this daily. What can I do daily for myself? And the more I do that, the better, the happier I am. And that's improves my relationship. I'm a better mum. Like I bang on about this so much. I feel like I'm a broken record. But it is just so important. I'm so sick of mums thinking that like washing their hair is a treat or going grocery shopping is self-care because you're doing it alone. No, that is not self-care.
Can you take the kids so I don't have to carry 2 people around the shops?
Literally, like, no, that's not how it is.
How sneaky is shops, by the way? Seriously, when you're a parent, knowing how they just hide like kid eye level shit everywhere to try and it's like just to try and create a sale, but it creates so much little options.
So true. Anyway. But just finding pockets of time every single day. And you have to be flexible on this too. Like if things don't go to plan or your kid's sick or something with work popped up, of course things are going to happen, but it's a focus and it's a priority. You will implement it. One more thing adding on that too, like the structure and routine. That's really important for me because I wear so many hats, and being a mum's important, work's important, my relationship's important, my friendships are important. I find that time for that every single week and I structure it in, otherwise it doesn't happen. So everything that's a priority to me will be in my weekly diary, and I will sit down every Monday and make sure that it's all in there. And I feel amazing. I feel so happy.
You're in an awesong place. But
it's
you've
really
done
good.
the work together, right? Okay, so we've done personing, we've done partnering. Parenting, partnering. So
we did partnering, communication and appreciation.
Okay, well that was parenting.
Oops.
You did partnering, so I did parenting then.
Okay, so
but mine's pretty similar for partnering. It's just from 1 to 2. It's just more mutual respect or more respect from my side. It's just I don't know, it's the next level in a relationship, hey, when you can just sit and look at someone and just be you're so in love, but part of that love is from respect.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, like it just gives you, and I was thinking about it the other day, what that respect and that love and going through that again, it makes me feel just more calm in like, not that there's any reason why anything, but when your head goes to negative places, you're like,
Yeah.
I know, like there's just so much respect I have for you
That's so cool.
you know what I mean? So that was my biggest takeaway. It's only been 2 weeks. I'm sure there'll be more, but it was just that was a big one.
Yeah, that's really cool. Love that. So what am I missing? I've done
parenting and
parenting from 1 to 2. The thing I was most scared about was losing connection with Taj. I didn't lose connection with him, but I found it really emotionally difficult to not have that one-on-one time with him because it's been him for 7 years.
Yeah.
So to all of a sudden it needed to be revolved around Tala because she's a new baby. I really missed him and I wasn't prepared for that. I had a fear of it, but I wasn't prepared for how...
Clara's she's feeling that too. So
yeah. How heavy that felt on my heart. And I do monthly goals each month, and every single month it's a certain amount of date nights with Taj. You have your date night with your partner. I have date nights with him. He loves going to Sushi Homba. It's like his favourite place, or getting frozen yogurt or whatever. So just a couple of times a month. I know it's not a lot of time, but for me it's more quality now.
So cool.
I switched out that I've got to spend lots of time with Taj to quality time.
Yeah.
And also when Tyler sleeps, that's when I take Taj to school. So it's half an hour out to his school. It's out the back of Whoop Whoop. But that even is quality time for us. We do this thing on the radio called Alpha Bucks. You heard of it?
Alpha Bucks.
Someone calls in and there's a letter that they give each day and there's 10 questions starting with that same letter. And if you get all the questions right, you win $1,000. Anyway, it's me and Taj do it. We answer the questions together. It's super bonding. Yeah, it's really bonding. So we don't get a lot of quality one-on-one time. And if I find that he's like playing up or he's being a little bit cheeky, I feel like he's lacking connection and attention. You can just see it. Like after Dr. Shafali, she said your older kid will start acting like a baby. Yep. He literally does. Oh, mummy, like starts talking like a baby. I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. I'll pass Tyler to Steve in the afternoon and we'll go for a bike ride or go down to the park and spend more quality time with him. Just being a lot more conscious and aware of his emotions and when they're coming up and why they're coming up. Yep. But yeah, even for my heart, just to have that quality time with him. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't do mum guilt. It's not something I do because I don't believe anything I'm doing is wrong. Yep. And that's where I think guilt comes from. But my heart was heavy when I didn't get as much time with him. And I thought, how can I ease that? And
because you're taking action too. You would get guilt if you didn't take action on that. I bet you would get it. Like because you have to. Or you have to have a feeling that you would associate with a different word, but it would be a similar feeling.
Yeah. But I know that I'm always doing the best I can.
Got the feeling, heavy heart.
Yes.
I better act there.
Yeah. What can I do to help this? Yeah. So that would be my biggest one.
Okay. That's really...
So you could do that for Clara.
Yeah.
Go have a girls' day, or girls' night, you and me go get some ice cream or whatever.
Yeah, they've been doing little pockets. But
it's only little things.
Yeah, they only need it. Yeah. That's it. Maybe it's the expectation, right? Of we need to do more. It's just have some really quality. High quality.
Yeah, and that fills them up. I feel like I can notice such a difference when he's had that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say this on the podcast, but...
Oh, gosh. Here we go. Brace yourself.
Well, because we've been playing so much, we call it kabunga, but it's basically soccer in the house.
Yeah.
And... like, Claus comes in, like, Bub's down, and she's like, okay, I'm ready to play. And he's like, no, Mum.
Daddy.
But just because Mum's not really good at kicking it to where she wants it.
And I feel like older child gets closer with Dad because Mum is with the baby heaps. Yeah. Taj and Steve are like...
we've been sleeping together most nights.
Same with Steve and Taj.
So, yeah.
They sleep together all the time, and I think it's bonded them so much more. And even like at night, it used to be always me reading the books. It's Dad every night. Every single night. Who do you want to read books? It's like me and Steve look at each other and start laughing. Daddy. I love Daddy.
I can't believe you set yourself up for failure with that question.
I know, but I'm just like hoping there's got to be a night where it's my turn. But it's really beautiful they have that bond, and I think it is kind of natural. So to not take that personally, I suppose, would be my advice, is because it's natural when you're breastfeeding and looking after the baby. Mum normally is with the baby a lot more than Dad. For that first bit.
Not. Like, she's like, Dusty can smell me.
Yeah.
And it's like, like I've got this bounce and I've got this, I'm moving around because she's like,
or goes like at your chest and there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Yeah. She smells that I'm not what she wants.
Yeah. So just lower the expectations, and don't take it personally when the older child prefers to be with Dad for this season. Everything's a season. It's not forever. And I think when you are in acceptance with that, it can take away the pain and hurt that you might have been making.
Changing unrealistic expectations helps a lot.
putting a different meaning onto it. And I love that Steve and Taj are so close. It's so beautiful. I hope they're best friends forever.
Yeah.
And me, but them too.
Okay, I reckon that's pretty much it.
Little wrap up.
How long was that? 34? That's a solid.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's some little nuggets in there or...
Definitely. Would love to hear your feedback as well. So let us know. And as always, if this has helped you, please share it around with your friends or any new parents or parents to be, because we hope that anything that we've learned, we're sharing it because we want to make a difference in someone else's lives. So even if this helps one couple, just alter a few things or have a few different conversations or book in the hypnobirthing course.
Yeah. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get to know when each next episode up.
Yeah, we upload weekly. So
done.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.